Hello everyone and welcome. In today's video, I've put together 8 of my absolute favorite rice recipes. I hope you get to try out some of them. I hope you enjoy watching. Let me know which one is your favorite. If you want to make Nigerian fried rice or you want to step up your fried rice game, then you absolutely have to try this recipe. Hey everyone, welcome to my kitchen where I show how to make some of your favorite traditional and new recipes that you can easily recreate for your family, friends or yourself. Today, we'll be going through the step-by-step process on how to make the best fried rice. I'm also going to show you how to make this super creamy coleslaw, so let's get started. In the pot, I have a whole cut up chicken and I'm going to season this with some chopped onion, crushed garlic, salt, some thyme. You can use fresh or dry thyme, crushed chicken seasoning cubes or bouillon cubes, and some curry powder. I'll give this a mix, and I'm not going to add any water at this point, just so that the chicken can really marinate with the spices. I'll cover and let this cook on low heat so the chicken doesn't burn, and I'll let that steam for about 5 minutes. When that's done, I'll add a little water to the chicken and I'll cover this again and allow to cook for an additional 5 to 10 minutes. While the chicken is cooking, I'll go ahead and wash the rice. For Nigerian fried rice, you want to use long grain rice. You can use whichever type you prefer. Personally, I really like Sela basmati rice, and this is the brand I use. These are other brand options that also works great. You can also just stick with the traditional long grain rice. Here are some good brands that will work great, especially for people outside Nigeria. So I'll go ahead and wash the rice a couple of times until the water runs clear. If you're washing with hot water, please make sure the last rinse is with colder water or room temperature water. This is just to ensure that the rice doesn't start cooking while it's still in the bowl, especially if you're not using it immediately. It's time to check on the chicken. I'll take it out now, even though the chicken is not 100% cooked, and I'm doing it that way because I'm still going to fry or grill this chicken. Also, because I'm using soft chicken and I don't want it to overcook. If you're using hard chicken or a tougher chicken, you can let it cook for longer. After taking the chicken out, you can filter the chicken stock just to make sure there are no bones in there. Next, add the washed rice to the chicken stock. If you don't have enough chicken stock, you can substitute with water. Add a little bit of salt if needed. I'm also going to add some more curry powder to give it that signature yellow fried rice color. The last thing I like to add to the rice is green pepper. This really helps elevate the flavor of the rice. Cover the rice and allow to cook for about 20 minutes or until the rice you're using is fully cooked. While the rice is cooking, you can go ahead and fry the chicken. If you're making this for an event or during the holidays, then I recommend frying, which is a traditional way. But if you want to skip the extra oil and make this a bit healthier, then you can choose to air fry this using an air fryer or an oven. Before air frying, I like to spray the chicken with a little bit of oil, and the oil will help give the chicken that golden brown color when it's done. Air fry at a high temperature for about 10 to 15 minutes. I love air frying, and for me it looks and tastes the same as regular fried chicken. Next, check on the rice. The rice should be fully cooked at this point. I'll go ahead and fluff it up. And it's important to do this just so that you can loosen the rice a little, and this will kind of release the trapped steam in the rice so it doesn't continue cooking. I'll also go ahead and remove and discard the bell peppers. Fluff the rice some more, and I'm just going to leave the rice open so it doesn't continue cooking, and I'll set aside. While the rice was cooking, I also prepped the vegetables. For the carrot, you want to peel before cutting just so you can get that vibrant color. And one important thing I do for my fried rice is I cut my vegetables as small as possible. This really makes the meal way more enjoyable, as sometimes when the vegetables are cut big, people tend to want to pick them out. After the carrot, I'll move to the green bell pepper. I don't like to use too much of this, so I'm just using the remaining half from the one I used to boil the rice. Next, we have the green beans, and same as before, I'm gonna cut this as small as I can. And finally, some green onions or scallions, and we're going to be using the whole part, root and stem. If you don't want to cut manually, you can consider buying a cutting tool like this one. I used this in my recent seafood fried rice recipe and it really works great. And it's also going to help you achieve that very uniform cut. So these are the chopped veggies. The other vegetables used for Nigerian fried rice are peas and sweet corn, and I usually just get the frozen ones. So I took these out of the freezer earlier. The last thing to prep is the shrimp, and I'm just gonna season this with salt, chicken seasoning and onion powder. And of course, before seasoning, the shrimp were deveined and washed. So next, heat up a little vegetable oil. To make your fried rice, I recommend using a wok. If you don't have a wok, you can use a very wide pot. Add the shrimp and just allow this cook for about 3 to 4 minutes on each side. And you don't have to use shrimp for this recipe. You can substitute the shrimp for chicken, beef, or you can just leave out completely. When the shrimp is cooked, take it out. Then add some more vegetable oil to the pan if you need. Then add the liver. The liver has been cooked and diced. And if you want to see how I prepare the liver, I'm going to add it at the end of this video. Stir fry this until it's brown and then take it out. When that's done, I'm just going to clean the pan with a paper towel. So now everything we need for the fried rice is ready. So heat up a little oil in the wok. And the first things I'm going to fry are the carrots and the green beans, simply because out of all the vegetables, these take the longest to cook. I'll fry these for about a minute or so. Next, I'll add the peas and the sweet corn. And I'll season the vegetables with crushed chicken cubes, salt and white pepper. If you don't have white pepper, you can use crushed chilies or Scotch bonnet peppers. Stir fry the veggies for an additional 1 to 2 minutes. Lastly, I'll add the chopped green bell pepper. I'm adding this last because this cooks really fast. I'm just going to stir fry this for about 30 seconds and then I'll add the rice. My rice has cooled down significantly, so it's going to make it much easier to fry. After adding the rice, mix everything together, and here is my best tip for fried rice. Fry the rice. It's called fried rice for a reason. Crank the heat up in your stove and stir fry the rice on very high heat. Don't forget to add the shrimp and fried liver. The wok will help distribute heat evenly, which is why I advise you use a wok if you have it. Or you can use a wide pan. If you don't have a wide pan, you can fry the rice and the veggies in batches. If you noticed, I didn't cook my vegetables for too long, so they will cook perfectly during this time. And this entire process is faster when the rice is not hot or steamy, which is why I always cook my rice first. Add the spring onion and continue stirring so the rice doesn't burn or toast. After frying, you'll see such a huge difference in the taste and texture. It's going to taste so good. And another important reason for doing this is that it stops the fried rice from going bad easily. The main reason Nigerian fried rice goes bad easily is because fried rice contains a lot of vegetables, and vegetables are made up mostly of water. And that, combined with rice that has a lot of moisture in it, the chances of it going bad easily are very high. But if you make your fried rice like this, it will hardly go bad or sour easily. Plus, it tastes way better making it this way. I hope you get to try this, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video tutorial. Do let me know if you have any questions about this recipe. You can reach me on my Instagram page at Kiki Foodies. Send me a DM and I'll try to respond to everyone as soon as I can. The rice is ready. Nigerian fried rice is usually served with coleslaw and fried or grilled chicken. And this is how I made the coleslaw. To make the coleslaw, start by peeling the carrots. If you don't have a peeler, you can also just use a knife. Next, using this tool, I'm going to grate the carrots. I like using this peeler for the carrots because it gives me really long carrot shavings. But you can also use a regular grater to do this. When using a grater, place the carrot vertically so you can get long strands like this. Next, get the cabbage, take the outer leaves off and cut down the stem. Using a sharp knife, shred the cabbage by making thin cuts on it like this. For the top part of the cabbage, which is usually stronger, you can use a grater or a food processor to shred that. After you've gotten enough cabbage that you need, go ahead and make the dressing. For the dressing, I usually use about 1/3 cup of mayonnaise, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice or white vinegar, and about 1½ teaspoon of sugar. And the exact measurements to everything in this video is going to be in the description box below, so you can check that out. Add the shredded cabbage and the carrots to the dressing and mix this all together. Other things you can add to the coleslaw are cucumbers, eggs, sweet corn, sliced apples, and so on. Although I put it last, the coleslaw is actually the first thing I made, simply because coleslaw is best served cold. So after mixing, pop the lid on and put it in the fridge until you're ready to serve. If you enjoyed watching this video, please like, share with your friends, and leave me a comment. It really helps me connect with you and it really helps the channel grow. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope you enjoy making this. To cook the liver is really simple. Just add the liver to a pot and season with salt and seasoning cube. Add water and allow to cook for about 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, dice into small cubes. You can get liver at your local market. You want to look for beef liver or cow liver for fried rice. If you're not in Nigeria, you can get beef liver from your local grocery store. You can find it in Walmart, H-E-B, Kroger, and the rest. One of the main ingredients of jollof rice, especially good jollof rice, is a really rich meat broth. And I'm going to get my meat broth by boiling the meat first. But before that, I'm going to give this a good rinse. Here, I'm just cutting the bigger pieces so the meat can cook evenly. You can also get meat broth or meat stock from the store. I personally do not like the pre-packaged ones, especially when you're making a Nigerian dish. We usually make our meat broth from scratch, so I would always advise for you to make yours yourself. And just a little reminder, if you want to skip the meat completely, I do have a Nigerian vegetarian jollof rice recipe on my YouTube channel, and I'm going to add the link to this video. Now that's done, I'm going to prep the ingredients I'll be boiling the meat with. I'm going to be using a full onion. Part of the onion I'll use to boil the meat, and the other part I'm going to use for the main dish. For the meat, I also need garlic and ginger. Here I have 3 garlic cloves. I'm just going to smash this with a knife, and I'll cut the ginger. I'm using about a thumb size ginger. Transfer your meat to the pot, and I'm going to season this with part of the onion sliced, the garlic and the ginger. I'll also season with dried thyme, curry powder, salt, and the chicken bouillon cubes. I'll give this a good mix. I won't be adding any water at this point because I want the chicken to simmer in its juices, and there was a little bit of water left from washing the meat. So I'll cover this, allow to simmer on low heat for about 10 minutes. Check on the chicken from time to time so it doesn't burn. After about 10 minutes, I'll add a little bit of water, and I'll allow this cook for an additional 10 minutes until the chicken is about 80% cooked. While that's cooking, I'll go ahead and sanitize my kitchen sink before prepping the vegetables to avoid any cross-contamination. Next, I'll start prepping the stew base. For this, I'm going to be using 2 large bell peppers. If your bell peppers aren't as large, you can make it 3 or even 4. I'm going to be using some tomatoes and 1 habanero pepper. I find that the American habanero pepper is very spicy in comparison to Nigerian atarudo, so I only use 1 of this. If you have a very low spice tolerance, I would advise you to use half or even a quarter. And if you're using the tatashe or red bell pepper, please don't forget to take out the seeds and the stems on the inside to avoid a bitter taste. I'm going to go ahead and transfer this to the blender. I always add my tomato first when blending because it has the most water quantity, so I can blend this easily with little or no water added. I'll blend this until completely smooth. I'll check on the chicken. By now it should be ready. I'll turn this off, and I'm going to separate the chicken from the chicken broth. The chicken is not fully cooked. I only cooked it to about 80% because we're still gonna fry this, and I don't want the chicken to be tough or overcooked. Next, I'm going to filter the chicken broth just to remove the big chunks of ginger and any bone from the chicken that may have fallen off while cooking. Please make sure you don't skip this step, especially if you use goat meat or turkey meat. Those can have really hard bones and can be very unpleasant and even dangerous when eaten. Next, I'll transfer the blended peppers and tomatoes to the pot, and I'm going to let this reduce for about 40 minutes. After transferring your pepper mix to the pot, do not stir or mix. Stirring the mixture at any point is most likely going to make it start to splash, which can be very messy. And be sure to check on it from time to time to make sure it doesn't burn. The goal is to reduce the water quantity as much as we can. While that's cooking, I'm going to go ahead and fry the chicken until it's golden brown. Now, if you want to ditch the extra calories from frying, you can opt for the air fryer, your grill, or even an oven. For the air fryer, I usually just put it in a medium setting and air fry until it's golden brown. For the oven, I usually use the low broil setting to get it brown and crispy, and the same thing applies for the grill. Because we're keeping things simple and original, I'm going to be frying this the traditional way, which is with vegetable oil. Another reason I like to fry is that the fried chicken gives the oil a really nice flavor, and I'm going to be using parts of the oil to make the jollof rice. After frying the first batch, wait for about 1 to 2 minutes for the oil to get back to the right temperature before frying the second batch. This really helps prevent the chicken from being too oily. Now keep the chicken in a very secured location, and don't forget to reward yourself with a piece of chicken for doing all this work. Moving on, I'm going to go ahead and wash the rice. I'm using the entire pack, which is 32 OZ, which I believe is exactly 4 cups. This should be enough to feed about 4 to 6 people, but of course you're welcome to double or even triple this recipe. I'll wash the rice until the water runs clear or almost clear. You can use hot water to wash your rice, but if you're using hot water, make sure the last wash is with cold water so the rice doesn't start cooking. And a lot of people really seem to like this rice washing bowl on Instagram, so I'm going to go ahead and link it in the description box. I repeated this process 6 or 7 times. I think I lost count somewhere. So now I'm just gonna drain it and I'll leave it here while I get started on the cooking. Checking on the pepper blend, all the water is almost out. It doesn't have to be completely dry. I'm just gonna take this off and set it aside. Now we have all the components for the jollof prepped and ready to go. Let's make it. I'm going to use part of the oil I used in frying the meat. This is about a 1/4 cup. You can use less. I'll add the leftover chopped onion and I'm going to fry this for about 2 to 3 minutes. Next, I'll add the tomato paste. I'm using 1 can of tomato paste and I am going to fry this for 7 to 8 minutes. It's very important to fry your tomato paste really well to get rid of the raw taste and also to give your dish that depth of flavor. The tomato paste can burn really fast, so make sure you pay attention to it and you're stirring it from time to time so it doesn't burn. After about 7 minutes, this is what it looks like. This is what we're aiming for. So now I'm going to add the tomato sauce. I'll go ahead and season this with salt, chicken seasoning cube or chicken bouillon cubes, some dry thyme, curry powder, and bay leaf. I never use more than 2 bay leaves for 4 cups of rice as I find it to be sometimes overpowering. I'll give this a mix and just fry for about 1 to 2 minutes. No need to fry this for too long since the tomato pepper mix already cooked really well while it was reducing. Next, I'll go in with the meat broth and I'll add the water. I'll give this a proper mix and make sure you scrape the sides and the bottom thoroughly. And finally, I'll add the washed rice. After adding the rice, I'll give it one final mix, and as you can see, the water is just slightly above the rice, which is perfect. I'll cover this and allow to cook on medium/high heat for about 30 to 35 minutes. If you notice that before the 35 minutes the rice is burning, that's perfectly fine. Jollof rice is supposed to burn. That is what gives it its signature smoky flavor. After about 35 minutes, the rice should be fully cooked. I'll mix this up. You'll notice at first it may be a bit clumpy. That is perfectly normal. The more you mix, the more you let out the steam, and in no time it's going to start to separate. One important tip I forgot to add is that when you're making original Nigerian party jollof, you want to avoid using a non-stick pot. And the reason for this is if you want that signature smoky jollof rice flavor, it's very hard to achieve this using a non-stick pot. So you want to opt instead for a regular cast iron pot, which is what I'm using right now, or a stainless steel pot, or a traditional or local iron pot. I'll add the link to some good jollof rice pots. If you're interested, you can check the link out in the description box. If at this point you notice your jollof rice is still sticky or very mushy, it may be because you added a little too much water. Sometimes it can also be as a result of the type of rice you used. Aside from the one we picked up in store, I'll provide you with some good recommendations of great rice brands that will give you a really nice jollof. So be sure to check that out in the description box. I'm going to go ahead and serve the rice. It smells amazing and it looks amazing. It tastes absolutely delicious. I have no doubt in my mind that yours will come out this perfect when you use this recipe. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you found any parts of it helpful, please let me know by leaving me a tomato emoji in the comment section. If you have any additional questions about this recipe, please feel free to leave me a comment or send me a DM on my Instagram. My Instagram name is Kiki Foodies. I'm going to enjoy this the original way, which is with fried plantains and chicken. This rice was so good and I can't wait for you to try it. To make this, you're going to need some turkey thighs. I'm using 2 turkey thighs for this recipe. Start by cleaning the turkey thighs, and next I'm going to take the skin off. You can also use turkey breast if you can't find the thighs. I like the thighs especially for this meal because it's a bit higher in fat, so it's extra juicy when cooked. You can also replace the turkey for chicken if you prefer. Next, I like to trim the excess fat off the thighs just so the meal is less fatty or oily. After trimming as much fat as I can, I'm going to take the bone off. Don't throw the bone and the skin away after removing. We're going to use that for some turkey stock later. After deboning the turkey, I'm going to cut it up into bite-sized pieces. Turkey meat is a bit tougher compared to chicken, so you want to cut this as small as possible so it cooks through and it's really tender when it's cooked. After cutting, I'm going to transfer the meat into a bowl and I'm going to get all my spices ready to season. To season, I'm using my classic seasoning mix, and that is garlic powder, onion powder, some paprika pepper for color, some hot chili pepper to make it spicy, crushed chicken seasoning cubes, and salt. Next, I'll massage the spices well into the turkey until everything is well coated. I'll set this aside while I get my other ingredients ready. Next, take the saved turkey bones and skin, and we're going to make our turkey stock. I added some chopped onions and carrots, crushed garlic and ginger, and seasoned with salt and chicken seasoning cube. Add a lot of water and cover this and allow to cook. Allow the stock boil for at least 15 minutes. You can leave it for as long as you can. Just remember to add water so it doesn't dry up. While I'm getting the stock ready, I'm going to prep my other ingredients. I'll dice about half an onion, and I'm using my new caraway knife for this. If you love sharp knives, you definitely want to check this out. It's my new favorite thing. I'll also get the pepper mix ready by blending 1.5 bell peppers, 2 tomatoes, and 1 habanero pepper. The remaining half bell pepper I saved and I diced. I also diced half of 1 green bell pepper. The last thing I'm doing for the prep is to wash the rice. And this is the exact rice I use for most of my recipes, and here are some great substitutions. Next, check on the turkey stock. It should be ready at this time, so I'm just going to separate the bone and skin from the stock. You can throw the chicken bones and skin away, or you can save it for your dog Blackie. I'm just kidding, guys. Please don't give chicken or turkey bones to your dog. So next, add the washed rice and then add a little bit of salt and a little more water if you need. Give this a good mix and then cover and allow to cook for about 15 minutes. When it's done, fluff the rice to release the steam so it stops cooking, and then set this aside. Next, heat up a little oil in a wide pan and then add the seasoned turkey thighs. Make sure the pot you're using is big enough because this is where we're going to be doing the remainder of the cooking. Fry the turkey thighs until it's no longer pink. It should take about 7 to 10 minutes depending on if you're frying all at once or if you're frying in batches. I fried mine all at once, so it took a bit longer time. I think it took about 10 to 12 minutes to fully brown. When it's brown to your satisfaction, take the turkey thighs out. Next, add the chopped onions, and you're going to also add some minced garlic. Now we're going to fry the onions and garlic until it's fragrant. It should take about 2 to 3 minutes. My pan was looking a little dry, so I added a little bit more oil so the onions can fry properly. After a few minutes, when the onions start to look translucent, I'll go ahead and add my blended pepper mix. I use the chopper, which is like a mini food processor, to blend, so it's not very smooth, which is the look I'm going for. Next, season the mix with some salt, chicken seasoning cube, and some paprika for color. Now give this a very good mix and allow to cook for about 8 to 10 minutes or until the pepper and tomato mix no longer taste raw. When that's done, add the fried turkey thighs and then add the chopped red and green bell pepper from earlier. Give this another mix and just stir fry this for about 1 to 2 minutes. We're almost done, so next add the cooked rice and then we're just going to stir fry this for about 2 to 5 minutes until everything comes together. Once everything comes together, stir fry for an additional 2 to 3 minutes and then the rice is ready. This rice is like a combination of jollof rice and fried rice. It has components of both, which is why I called it turkey combo rice. This dish is going to be a great addition to your Thanksgiving meals, holiday meals, or your everyday cooking. I'm definitely making this again for our upcoming Thanksgiving because it tasted so good. I really hope you get to try it. If you do, let me know by leaving me a comment or sending me a message on Instagram. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below or send me a DM. I'll be more than happy to help you out. The fourth rice dish is my fabulous and bougie pineapple fried rice. This recipe was one of the most recreated dishes during the last holiday season. I tried to make pineapple fried rice many times before this, and this recipe ended up being my favorite. To make this, of course, you need one large pineapple. I'm going to split the pineapple down the middle like this. Use a sharp knife to cut the pineapple like this. Cutting the pineapple like this is going to make it much easier to scoop out the pineapple. Using a spoon, carefully scoop out the pineapple flesh. We're going to be using the pineapple back to serve the rice, which is why we're doing this. But if you don't want to use the pineapple to serve the rice, you can skip this process altogether and just cut the pineapple normally. I'll blend the pineapple with a little bit of water and then sieve with a fine cloth or a nut bag. If you have a juicer, you can simply just juice the pineapple to make this process simpler. We're only going to be using a little bit of the pineapple juice for the rice, so save the rest for serving. Add the rice to a pot. Add a little bit of the pineapple juice, some chicken stock and water. Also add a little bit of salt. Cover this and allow to cook for about 15 minutes. When the rice is cooked, mix it to release the steam. Cover this and set it aside. Next, prepare the veggies. For this recipe, I'll be using some carrots, some green beans, red bell peppers, green bell peppers, some scallions or green onions, and also scotch bonnet pepper to make it spicy. Next, heat up oil in a wide pan and add in seasoned shrimp. The shrimp was seasoned with garlic powder, onion powder, paprika, and salt. I'll put the exact recipe and measurement for each meal in the description box. Fry the shrimp for a few minutes until it's pink and crispy, then take it out. Next, add in some chopped onion and minced garlic. And fry this for about 2 to 3 minutes. Next, add the veggies and the pepper. Season this with the spice mix and stir fry this for about 5 minutes. The spice mix is the same ingredients I seasoned the shrimp with, which is garlic powder, onion powder, salt, and paprika. When the veggies have softened, add the cooked rice and the fried shrimp. Also add the green onions. Combine everything and, very importantly, stir fry this for at least 5 minutes. And you want to make sure to stir fry it for at least 5 minutes. I usually fry my rice for about 7 to 8 minutes, and this gives it a very nice texture and that great fried rice taste. And again, let me know what you think of this recipe. Let me know if you're going to try this or if you already tried this and how it turned out for you. And if this is your favorite recipe from this collection, of course leave me a pineapple emoji, obviously. I'll definitely be on standby in the comment section to see what you guys voted for. Serve your pineapple fried rice in the pineapple for an extra dramatic effect. And serve this with some fried or grilled chicken, coleslaw, and some very chilled pineapple juice. The fifth recipe in this collection is my everything coconut rice. To make this, add coconut milk to a pot, add meat stock and a little bit of salt. Add a little water and give this a good mix and bring this to a boil. Next, add the washed rice. I'm using Indian Gate Seller Basmati rice for this. If you're interested, I'll add some of my favorite rice brands to the end of the video so you can check that out. Cover and allow this cook for about 12 to 15 minutes until it's soft. Next, add a bit of coconut oil to a wok or a large frying pan. Add some thinly cut beef and season this with salt, curry powder, seasoning powder and garlic powder. Stir fry this for about 5 minutes and add some chicken chunks and try saying that 10 times. Some chicken chunks, some chicken chunks, some chicken chunks. Okay, stir fry this for another 5 minutes until the chicken is fully cooked and no longer pink. When it's done, remove the meat and then bring the pan back to the stove. Add in some chopped onions and minced garlic and ginger. Stir fry this for a few minutes and after that we're going to add some roughly blended red bell pepper and scotch bonnet pepper or chili. We're going to fry this on high heat for about 5 to 8 minutes and season this with salt, some crushed beef seasoning cube and curry powder. You're going to stir fry this for an additional 5 to 10 minutes before adding the fried beef and chicken. I also added some previously frozen cooked shrimps. Stir fry this for a few minutes and add the veggies. I'm using only green and red bell peppers for this one. Stir fry this for an additional 1 to 2 minutes before adding the coconut rice. Add the cooked coconut rice and stir fry this for at least 10 minutes. This rice is great for a Sunday meal and it's perfect for the holidays and for parties. Let me know if this is your favorite of the collection by leaving me a coconut emoji. This is one of my favorite things to make. To make it, you're going to start by combining the spices. The spices we're going to use are onion powder, garlic powder, salt, paprika, and cayenne pepper for heat. Give this a good mix and then season your meat. Here I have some cut off chicken breast. I've added a little bit of the spices in there and I'm going to massage this into the chicken. You can also use chicken thighs as a substitute for chicken breast. Set this aside to marinate. Next, you're going to season the shrimp with the same spices. The shrimp has been peeled, washed, and deveined. Rub it in for about 1 minute to make sure the spices get in there. And just like the chicken, you're going to set this aside to marinate for a few minutes. Next, prepare the pepper mixture. The exact ingredients and measurements are going to be in the description box, so you can check that out if you need it. Blend this until smooth or roughly smooth and set this aside. Next, get a wide pan you're going to use to make the rice. Add a little vegetable oil, or you can use any oil of your choice. Allow the oil heat up a bit, then add the chicken. You're going to pan fry this for about 5 to 10 minutes until the chicken is fully cooked. I'm using my caraway cookware for this. I'm using the saute pan. If you're interested in this cookware, I'm going to link it in the description box. Next, I'm going to fry the hot dogs. If you have sausages, that's perfect for this recipe. I didn't have any, so I settled for the closest thing, which is hot dogs. Fry this until brown. It should take about 5 to 8 minutes. Set this aside, and next we're going to fry the shrimp. After frying the chicken and the hot dogs or sausages, if you need more oil, you can certainly add that. Allow to heat up, then add the shrimp. I'm cooking the shrimp last because it has the strongest flavor, and I don't want the chicken or hot dogs to taste like shrimp. Fry the shrimp for about 3 minutes on each side until it's pink and fully cooked. Using a fork on your non-stick cookware is not a good idea, so please don't do what I did. I couldn't find my regular toner, so I just used a fork, but I was really careful. Take the meat out and set it aside, and next we're going to get started with the rice. Add in more oil if needed. Allow the oil heat up for about 2 to 3 minutes before adding the onion and garlic. We're going to fry this for about 5 to 8 minutes until the onion is translucent. This is going to add lots of flavor and depth to the dish. Next, add the tomato paste. You're going to fry this for about 5 to 8 minutes. Frying the tomato paste is important because raw tomato paste is acidic, and frying is going to help reduce that acidity. Fry the tomato paste until it looks like this. Next, I'm going to add the blended tomato. You can also use canned diced tomato for this, but fresh is always best. Add about a teaspoon of the spice mix from earlier. I'm also going to add dry thyme and chicken bouillon cube. Mix this and allow it fry for a few minutes. Add in some chopped red bell pepper. You can also add chopped celery if you like that. Mix to combine and then add the rice. You can use long grain or short grain rice for this recipe, but I like to use Sela basmati rice. I only washed the rice several times and I didn't parboil it. Add in chicken stock if you have that. Add in some water. If you don't have chicken stock, you can just use water. Add in a little bit of salt and then mix properly to combine. I'm going to cover this and allow to cook on low heat for about 30 minutes. It's very important to cook this on low heat so the rice doesn't burn. After about 30 minutes, the rice should be fully cooked. Add the fried chicken, shrimp, and hot dogs. Also add chopped spring onions or scallions for freshness and color. Mix to combine everything, and after that your jambalaya is ready. I'd really like to know which one of these 8 rice dishes is your favorite. So if you're voting for jambalaya, if you think jambalaya is the best of all 8, kindly comment this emoji. Just like the name implies, this recipe is a fusion of Asun and jollof rice. It's a crowd pleaser, so let me show you how I make it. So for this recipe, you're going to need some goat meat. So start by seasoning the goat meat with onion, thyme, curry powder, and a beef seasoning cube. I'll also add salt, and then I'm going to add a little bit of water. I'll give this a good mix, then I'll cover and allow to cook for about 25 minutes. Depending on the type of goat meat you're using, it may take a longer time or a shorter time to cook. After about 20 minutes, the goat meat is about halfway cooked, so I'm going to take it off the stove and transfer to my grill. I'm going to continue the cooking process in the grill for about 10 minutes until the goat meat is brown. Next, I'll cut it up into small bite-sized pieces like this. If the goat meat you're using cooks really fast, you can boil just for about 5 minutes and then grill for 10 minutes until the goat meat is cooked. After deboning and cutting, transfer everything to a bowl and then set aside. Also, save the goat meat stock, we're going to use that later. To make the jollof rice, start by heating up oil and then add some onions. Now you're going to fry these onions until it's fragrant. It's going to take about 3 to 4 minutes, and then you add the tinned tomatoes or tomato paste. So now we're going to fry the tomato paste until it changes color. It's very important to fry your tomato paste or to brown it, because that's what's going to get rid of the raw, bitter, acidic taste. Frying also brings out the natural sugars in the tomato paste, which is what we're looking for, and it also gives the dish a huge depth of flavor. So fry it until it looks like this, and make sure you keep stirring it so it doesn't burn. Before you start to make the meal, prep the other ingredients. So I blended some tomatoes, scotch bonnet peppers, and bell pepper. So that's going to be your pepper mix. So blend that until smooth with as little water as possible. Add the pepper mix to the fried tomato paste and then mix until everything comes together. Allow that to fry for a few minutes, and then we're going to season with salt, beef seasoning cube, some bay leaves. I only use about 1 or 2 bay leaves, some curry powder, and thyme. Give this a good mix and just let this fry for about 5 minutes to get rid of any raw tomato taste. After a few minutes, go ahead and add some water. Also, you add the beef stock we made earlier. So next, just cover this and allow to cook for about 5 minutes on low heat. While the sauce is cooking, I'll go ahead and wash the rice. And the rice I'm using for this is the traditional rice for jollof rice, which is long grain parboiled rice. The exact rice I'm using is par excellence, and this is what it looks like, and here are some substitutions. So I'll wash the rice until the water runs clear. It should take about 4 to 5 washes. Once that's done, transfer the rice to the stew base or the sauce and then give it a good mix. If you need to add more water, you can definitely do that. Just make sure you don't add too much. The water should just be slightly above the rice for the perfect jollof. Taste it at this point and adjust the seasoning if needed. Mine needed a little bit of salt, so I just added that. Next, cover tightly and allow to cook on medium heat for about 20 minutes. While that's cooking, I'm going to start preparing the asun. To do this, add some chopped onions, some chopped red bell pepper and scotch bonnet peppers. For the peppers, just add as much as you can handle, since scotch bonnet pepper is really spicy. So I added just a little since I'm going to mix this up with the jollof rice and I don't want the meal to be too spicy. I also seasoned with salt and then added a little water. I covered that and allowed to steam, and then I checked on the rice. After about 20 minutes, the rice should be fully cooked. So I will just give this a mix to release all the trapped steam in there so the rice can loosen up. The asun should also be ready at this time. So what you're going to do next is just transfer the cooked rice to the asun pot. If your pot is wide enough, you can transfer the rice into the asun pot. You can also do this the other way around, which is transferring the asun to the rice pot. Whichever process works, I just prefer to do the first because of the last step. So for the final step, I just like to stir fry this for about 5 minutes. So this step really helps the asun flavor fuse really well with the jollof rice. And it also gives the jollof rice a sort of fried rice effect, which is really nice. So if you do make this, make sure you don't skip the step of stir frying the rice and the asun for a few minutes. It's really going to be a game changer. I made this rice for an event a while back and everybody absolutely went crazy over it. So this rice is definitely going to be on my holiday menu this year. Make sure you make this. You can add some green onions or scallions at the end for a little bit of color. Let me know if you do make this dish. I'd love to see your pictures and recreations. Tag me on Instagram or send me a DM. My Instagram name is Kiki Foodies. I'm going to be using beef for this recipe. Here I've cut the meat into bite-sized pieces and I'm going to season this with salt, beef seasoning cube, you can use the no MSG one, some chopped onion, dried thyme and curry powder. And the cut of meat I'm using is a mixture of skirt steak and flank steak. I'll add a little bit of water, give this a good mix, and I'm going to cover this and allow to cook for about 15 minutes or until the beef is soft. While that's cooking, I'm going to prepare the ingredients for the stew base. For the stew base, you will need onion, scotch bonnet pepper, some carrots, bell peppers, and tomatoes. I'm going to give this a proper wash. I'll peel the carrots and get the seeds off the peppers. The quantity of the scotch bonnet pepper you're going to use depends on how much heat tolerance you have. If you or your kids don't like pepper, you can use just half or skip altogether. Time to blend. The tomato is going to go in first. I'm going to add the carrots, the bell pepper mixed with the scotch bonnet pepper, and the onion. Blend this until smooth with as little water as possible. It always helps to add the softest ingredients first, which is why I added the tomato at the bottom. And to take it a step further, you can squeeze the tomatoes before adding. Tomato contain a lot of water, so that can act as the liquid, so you don't need to add any more water when blending. The tomato blend is ready. I'm going to take this off and I'm going to check on the meat. The meat is done. I'm going to separate it from the meat stock. And if you don't want to use beef for this recipe, you can substitute it with chicken or turkey. If you're using chicken, you want to cook only for about 5 to 6 minutes, since that doesn't need a lot of time to cook. Next, I'm going to add the tomato pepper mixture to the pot. I'll let this cook so it can reduce the water quantity, and this should take about 30 to 40 minutes. Check on it from time to time so it doesn't burn, but avoid mixing it because that can make it start splashing. Next, I'm going to fry the beef. You can also air fry this if you prefer, or you can use it boiled like this. It still comes out great. I'll stir fry this for about 5 to 8 minutes until it's brown or browner. While that's cooking, I want to use this opportunity to say a big thank you to everyone who subscribed to my channel. We recently hit 400k. I can't believe it. Thank you to all my foodies. Thank you for your likes. Thank you for your comments and your shares. I am super grateful to have you here. Okay, so moving on, the beef is done, and next I'm going to add in some chopped onions, and I'm going to fry this for about 1 to 2 minutes until it's fragrant. I'll add the boiled down tomato and pepper. For this recipe, I'm not using any tomato paste. I have no particular reason why, but the pepper mixture would be enough to give the rice a nice color, especially with the carrots added. It gives it a nice orange color. I'll season this with the same spices I used to boil the meat, which is salt, beef seasoning, dried thyme, and curry powder. I'll mix this all together, and I'm going to let this fry for about 8 to 10 minutes. You can add more oil if you need to make the frying a bit easier, but it's not really necessary. I'll fry this, stirring constantly so it doesn't burn, and after a while the color is going to deepen, and then I'll go ahead and add the meat stock. If you don't have enough meat stock for this, you can substitute with water. The exact measurements for this recipe will be in the description box below, so you can check that out. Finally, I'll add the rice. For this recipe, I'm using Golden Sela basmati rice. I only washed it several times until the water ran clear. I'll add in water. You don't want to add too much water at this point, and I'm going to give this a mix just until everything comes together. The water is just slightly above the rice, which is perfect for this type of rice. I'm going to cover this and allow to cook for about 35 minutes on medium heat. Finally, the rice is ready. I'm going to add the fried beef, and I'm also going to add some previously frozen peas. I chose peas because most kids like peas, but you can also replace or add other vegetables. Great options are sweet corn, diced carrots, sweet bell peppers, broccoli, cauliflower, and so on. I also like to add some diced fried plantains to the rice. The little ones really enjoy that. Unfortunately, today I didn't have any ripe plantains to fry, but we enjoyed this all the same. Here's the final look. The rice tasted really amazing. I hope you get to try this, and I hope you make this for your family. I hope you enjoyed watching this video tutorial. If you did, please like, share, or comment to boost. It really helps the channel grow. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.